right, otherwise you don't get a letter, you get a telegram. The fact that he's written proves he's all right. Dear Mother, I'm fit and well and longing to hear from you. Then it's all crossed out. Give my regards to everyone at Beckett's Hill. Oh, my love, Alan. Passed by Lieutenant Parker. I can't make it out. Censor. I said someone read it.
Why did they cross it all out?
Censored. Perhaps he said something that he shouldn't have, like where he's stationed.
They crossed out all of it.
Perhaps he said something about Lieutenant Parker.
Mrs. Henderson, she got a letter from her husband. He said where he was and everything.
Mr. Henderson's an officer. They don't censor officers' letters.
Alan's got such nice handwriting. And it'd be difficult to answer this. I mean, we don't know what he wants to know.
You want to know what's happening here. What any soldier wants to know. Your news.
I haven't got any news.
Molly, no news is good news, but you've still got to write it down.
Master Richard.
I'm terribly sorry to trouble you, but...
Oh, please come in. I thought you were still away at school.
No, it's Halls.
This is Master Richard, Mr. Hollis's son.
I'm Mrs. Farmer's brother-in-law. Pleasure to meet you.
How do you do?
Is there anything we can do? Oh, please sit down.
Thank you. Well, actually, this is a terrible cheat, but I was wondering if I could borrow some of Alan's books. You see, I'm terribly keen on flying. Alan was very good to me. He showed me his books and his models and everything.
Well, I know he used to talk to you for hours. I wasn't quite sure what about.
Actually, I think it was him that started it all, really. As far as I was concerned, I mean. This whole idea of flying.
I see.
Of course, I was very young then. But this whole idea of being free, in the air. I realized then that's what I'd always wanted to do. Fly. Of course, my father, he thought I was going through a kind of, well, you know, a craze. But I knew. Alan taught me.
I'm sure Alan would like you to borrow his books.
Only most of them you can't buy. At least not round here. I've tried. Now, my father's in Mesopotamia, and my grandfather's in charge of me, sort of, with my mother. And they're both going to pay for me to have flying lessons.
Well, that'll make 2 airmen in the village.
Yes, but the difficult thing is it's hard to get into the flying corps unless you've already learnt to fly. And I want to do that more than anything.
How old are you?
17.
Well, they won't take you on till you're 18.
I know. Well, once I've learnt to fly, I can always tell them I'm 18. Besides, I jolly nearly will be when I get to France.
Must have been the same hand that took a few pot shots at you.
What, south of the canal?
That's right.
What height were we? 8,000 feet. Horrendous sort of chaps, I thought.
So he'd have been about 10,000 then when we spotted him.
Yeah, always flies higher than us, and faster.
A rotten shot.
Thank the Lord. That chap flies so close his observer was practically swabbing the throat with his rifle at one point.
Sensible.
What?
Their observer in the rear cockpit. Better field of fire, look. They bung us in the front cockpit, surrounded by all those damn struts
He
and
was a
wires.
damn good pilot.
Oh, no, I didn't think much of his tight turns. Slips a bit.
Hey, what's happened to our favourite Hun?
Ah, the one with the machine gun.
Yeah.
Moved into another sector, probably. Now the competition's rather fiercer.
He could have gone on leave.
They get leave, of course. Better organised than we are.
How do you know?
Well, they got rules, haven't they? Method. Anyone can see that. Look, they always fly above us. Always the same form of attack. Never fly on our side of the lines. Well, they're not just flying for the fun of it, are they?
You're right, of course. What's that? No one in the RFC gets those damn silly ideas. Splendidly free up there. Don't want some fool clogging it up with rules and tactics and God knows what else, do we?
There's a patch just up there. Another one along the leading edge up there.
2 bullet holes. Not exactly a calendar, is it? We usually wait for a few more before troubling.
I'd like them done, please, Corporal.
Well, I'll mention it to Ted. I'm an engine fitter, amongst other things. But I'm not a rigger.
Sorry?
He shall have a nice clean job, my mother said when I left the pits to join this lot.
You were here the day I came, weren't you?
Day before I went on leave.
Leave. Didn't know they knew what the word meant here at St. Marie.
That's right. So I put it in the dictionary for him. 4 months I've been out here, I said. 19, 20 hours a day keeping these flying cripples in the air. No proper replacement parts. Even when there's time to sleep, I can't with the worry and living like a gypsy. Retreating here, retreating there, and all that bumping along cart tracks shakes out any life that might be left in them. Death traps, the lot of them. I told him that. Should have been grounded years ago.
Well, Corporal Morgan, back to encourage our morale again, eh? Tell me, how were things in Clanfair, Willy Goggock, or wherever it is?
Hell of a sight better than you are here, sir. I'll tell you that much. If we had pit ponies with as many wrong parts as that engine, there wouldn't be a fire burning in a grate back home.
Well, not burning very merrily as it is, by all accounts. They're recalling X-minus from the front, did you know?
Well, they won't get me back, thank you very much. I'd sooner go white with the worry over you lot.
You do encourage that chap, Morgan. I mean, he's much too familiar as it is. Oh, I'm all for squadron life being free and easy. One expects that in the flying corps. But there are limits, you know. I mean, some of these NCOs need to be taught their place.
Make my report. Oh, hello. You must be the new chap.
My name's Guthrie,
I'm Farmer.
but everybody calls me Jock. Oh, I don't mind what the hell they call me, so long as they don't call me with my real Christian name.
What's that?
I think I'm telling you. You've been here long.
Oh, fortnight.
It's incredible what a mess an army can make of a place in a few days. Like hens. Do you smoke?
Ah, not at the moment, thanks. No, I've got to put in my report.
The fellow used to have this bed. What happened to him?
Oh, Freddie went west.
Lucky I'm no superstitious.
General Wilkinson. Now, this is Major Chapman.
Chat when, sir?
Squadron Commander asked us to wait here.
Oh, for Captain Dornish, sir?
Yes.
Captain Dornish is on a reconnaissance at the moment, sir. He should be back at any moment.
Damn. Well, I can't hang around. Explain anyway, will you, Chapman?
If you'd like to come over here, I'll show you. We've got a battalion of 18-pounders along here. And because of the shell shortage, we can only fire a limited number of rounds a day. But we're still the only covering fire the infantry along here, all they can reasonably expect, at least until something heavy is brought up. The Hun has a couple of batteries of light stuff that pester the infantry. They're no real trouble, and if we had the shells, we could probably knock them out. Presumably, when we have the shells, we will be able to knock them out. But the Hun also has a howitzer. He uses that exclusively to cane us. We know roughly where it's sighted. Around there.
We were just over there, sir. We didn't spot anything.
It's under camouflage.
Methodical animal, the Hun. Same time every morning. Camouflage off and woof.
Beg your pardon, sir, but what time would this be, sir?
What? Well, the Hun's bit of hate. What time is it, Chapman?
I'm dead on 5 Emma.
If you're over the target area when he starts firing, you're bound to see the flashes.
You won't be able to mistake it. There's nothing else that far back. HQ country.
Excuse me, sir. It's Captain Dornish landing now, sir.
Yes. Yes, I must try one of those things sometime.
The point is, unless we can get that howitzer, we won't be able to support the infantry. So far, I've lost 2 guns and 7 men.
So, you locate it and leave the rest to us, hmm?
There is just one thing, sir.
Yes?
A 5-Ek Emma. That would mean taking off before dawn. If it's dark and we can't see the ground any other way, and we've got to be exactly over the target when she opens
Thought
up.
of that. I've ordered every infantry unit to fire recognition flares at 5-minute intervals from 4:30 onwards.
Here's the list. You should be able to tell exactly where you are from the colour of the flares.
So, I'll expect your report tomorrow.
Tomorrow, sir?
No time like the present.
Every day is costing my battery casualties.
Oh, one last thing. Total secrecy, right?
Yes, sir.
Chapman's 18-pounders can't reach that howitzer, obviously. So we've brought up a 15-inch naval gun. Runs on rails. As soon as we've got the location of the howitzer from you, we plaster the area, but we have got to get it first time. Apart from the fact that we don't want the Hun to withdraw out of range, we can't afford to waste shells.
No, sir.
If he hears about our 15-inch, obviously he'll pull his howitzer back. There's no other reason why we should bring up a gun that size. So, I want total security. No other ranks to know.
So I'm afraid...
Captain Dornish, sir? Ah, I've just been explaining about our little problem. Major Chapman here can fill you in on any details. Good to meet you. I've got to go.
Are you in the picture, Farmer?
Yes, sir.
Well, if Sergeant Farmer's happy.
Sergeant?
Sergeant Pilot Farmer.
Sergeant Pilot? You mean to say you have Sergeant? Yes, well, I must be off. Dinner engagement. You can make your own way back, can't you?
Sometimes I think the staff aren't part of the same war as the rest of us.
And what is the problem?
Locating a howitzer that fires every morning at 5-Ek Emma, sir. Permission to volunteer, please, sir.
Coming up for a complete overhaul.
It's not due yet. Ah, they patched up those bullet holes.
Patches are all right. It's the rest of it I'm worried about.
And the magneto?
As good as you could expect. I've taken it apart and checked. It's worn, of course. It's not like a car, though, sir. With a car, you know what to expect. Not with an aeroplane.
But you're reasonably confident it'll get off the ground tomorrow morning.
In as much as you can expect anything when nobody has any experience. Good night, sir.
Good night, Corporal. Corporal Morgan had his way, the entire flying corps would be grounded.
So you're going to do this recce yourself then, are you, sir?
Well, I have more flying time than anybody else.
Rather you than me, taking off in the dark.
Sergeant Guthrie's coming with me.
What, the new chap?
Well, I insist that people like Richard Bravington fly with raw pilots like Sergeant Farmer. I can hardly insist on having the most highly skilled observer myself. Anyway, in his own way, Sergeant Guthrie has more flying experience than the rest of the flight put together.
200 hours? No piloting. I'm no a pilot.
200? Anyone here with 50's an old campaigner?
It was my job, you see. I was Lord Belford's chauffeur.
Lord Belford, he had about the 4th or 5th licence ever given to fly, didn't he?
The 7th. Oh, he was a bit sore about that. His family motto, it's in Latin, but it means, I lead the way, and he resented being 7th.
You were a chauffeur?
Only on the ground. He flew the fireman himself. The trouble was, he never got the idea of how to read a map. He used to fly around getting lost, and it was my job to follow him in the rolls and collect him when he landed.
How'd you get invited to fly then?
Oh, I wasn't invited. I was ordered. Guthrie, climb in, will you? I want you to tell me where I'm going. Oh, I was scared stiff, until I got the taste for it.
So you became his observer then?
Aye.
Is Lord Belford in the flying corps?
No. He's as old as God. Anyway, he's blind as a bat. No, I was Lord Belford's war effort. I was ordered to volunteer. The, girlfriend?
Yes. Oh.
Oh, don't worry about me. Light never bothered me. I can sleep through anything.
Oh, thanks.
Good night.
Good night. You're lucky. Going on that reconnaissance tomorrow.
Oh, that. Good night.
On your eagle eyes this morning. Yes. Hmm? Yeah, I hope so. The old place. Morning, Jack. Another morning for it. After you, Sergeant.
After I saw you last night, sir, I took the magneto apart again. Seems all right now.
Thanks.
Remembering the state it's in, anyway. Switch off.
Switch off.
Switch on.
Switch on.
Contact. Well, at least the magneto's working. That's something.
You're up early today, too.
Yes, sir. You get back to sleep after Sergeant Guthrie left.
I say, good to see a pilot having a shave. Makes me feel positively old. These chaps come out here with a razor, never use them. I should be back in a minute.
Yes.
See, it'd be quite a shot in the arm for the RFC if we manage to find a gun nobody else can, eh?
Yes.
Ah. So nothing goes wrong.
At ease, Sergeant. Any news about that howitzer?
No, they're not back yet, sir.
Saw you coming, sir.
Good. Just checking if you've managed to locate our howitzer yet.
Oh, well, they should be back any minute now, sir.
They take their time, don't they?
Oh, well, it always takes long to get back, sir. Against the prevailing wind.
Well, yes, I suppose so. I hadn't thought of that. Of course, they could have been shot down.
I think you'll find, sir, that if anyone can get there and back, Captain Dornish can.
Oh, I'm sure he's a good chap. But your aeroplanes, they're not that reliable, are they? All the same, I was hoping I'd have the information by now. I've got a staff conference at 10, and I promised them the location by then.
Well, sometimes, sir, aeroplanes can't return to their own fields.
Oh? What happens then?
We land where we can.
Well, it's not much use to me if I don't get the information.
Well, if you like, sir, I can contact the units left and right of the direct flight path, see if they've heard anything.
I would have thought you'd have done that already.
They still have half an hour's fuel left, sir.
It's all right. Sit down. Sit.
Yes, sir.
The girlfriend at last, eh?
No such luck, sir.
Good news?
Dear Mr. Farmer, I'm writing to thank you for lending me your books and magazines. They're all jolly exciting.
What nice sort of books are they?
Airplanes. I don't know if you've had the letter from Mrs. Farmer yet. That's my mother. She very kindly said it would be all right for me to borrow them. I'm hoping very much that I'll soon be a pilot like you are.
How old's your correspondent?
16, 17. Still think of him in a sailor suit.
Sounds as though he still is.
Well, it wasn't so long ago I felt the same way. Still do in a way.
I know. It's over 2.5 hours now.
They'll still have some fuel.
Well, that seems to be that.
Yes.
Damn nuisance. Well, I better be off. Looks pretty bad if you're late for your own staff conference.
Yes, sir.
Oh, if you do happen to get any information, pass it on to my HQ.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry you've lost your men. After all, it's only 2 casualties.
Well, we don't know that they are lost. Not yet, sir.
Technically, I suppose you're right, yes. Still, that's war, I'm afraid. We have to accept these things. Better luck next time.
God. I'm going to get some breakfast. Yes, sir. The moment you hear where Captain Dornish has landed, let me know, will you?
Very good, sir.
I'm afraid it looks as though it had run out of fuel 2 hours ago. Must have come down on the German side of the lines, otherwise we'd have heard by now. He's probably a prisoner of war.
Yes.
I'm not absolutely sure who one writes to. I mean, Captain Dornish had a wife, but no one knows actually. Anyway, Anyway, that's my problem. If you could pack up the belongings of... Sorry, I've forgotten his name.
Sergeant Guthrie.
Oh, yes, of course. Only, well, you knew him best.
Hardly knew him at all. He only arrived yesterday.
And you still knew him better than anyone else.
Yes.
I mean, assuming the worst, of course. I mean, it's quite possible they're having breakfast in some German mess while we're here talking.
Clarence.
Huh?
His Christian name was Clarence.
Oh. Well, I'll get someone to give you a hand. We'll, put his private possessions into store until we know definitely... Well, until we know definitely what's happened to him. If you could, sort these out. Only there may be some things there that... Well, it would be a good idea to pass them on to the next of kin.
I understand.
Assuming the worst, of course. But, as I say...
Could be a prisoner of war.
Exactly. Sorry to have to ask you.
Mr. Gallion said I was to collect something, Sarge.
Yes, that's right. The worldly possessions of Sergeant Guthrie.
Are these him?
Yes, the middle pile there. Left pile on the left, they're to be sent to his parents. We'll put the address on the top. The middle pile there are all private letters.
What do we do with them?
I don't know the procedure. Obviously, we keep them for a while in case he returns. But I'm sure there's a regulation about it. After that particular period of time, I suppose they're burnt.
Yes, Sarge. And the rest?
I don't give a damn about the rest. It's all RFC property.
Somebody will give a damn.
Yes, we'll let them take care of it now.
Sarge?
Yes?
This cigarette pack, there's still a couple of fags in it.
You have them.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot, Sarge.
And one other thing.
Yes?
Get rid of that bed.
But what will I do with it?
I don't care what the hell you do with it, just get rid of it.
Didn't take you long to read those.
No, they were very interesting. Mrs. Farmer's out then?
Calling on Miss Collins.
Oh, I remember. That's the girl Alan's going to marry.
Well, I don't think it's as definite as that. Not yet.
I can quite understand it, though. They've known each other for a long time. Now, as for me, I wouldn't consider getting married, not for ages. If I'm to be a flyer, well, it's a pretty risky business. Hardly fair on a girl, really. Anyway, a chap needs every ounce of concentration to perform his first solo flight. And girls can be rather distracting. Ah. May I?
Oh, yes, of course.
My grandfather's always glad when the house is shot of women. Now we can talk sense, he says. With your brother and your nephew, both being flyers, you must know quite a lot about aeroplanes too.
No.
Really? Well, I think it was jolly brave of your brother. Aeroplanes were very dangerous then, weren't they? It must have taken a lot of nerve to fly one. Especially one you'd built yourself. Still, if it wasn't for chaps like your brother experimenting and finding things out, it wouldn't be so safe for chaps like me.
I don't think my brother saw it like that. I expect, like you, he simply wanted to fly. Nothing else mattered much.
Hmm. I suppose it was very rotten for Mrs. Farmer.
Yeah. As for myself and aeroplanes, I don't know much about them. I'm not sure that I want to. I suppose I prefer the feel of the ground beneath my feet and the satisfaction of using my own two hands. Sometimes I still forget.
Well, we can't all be flyers, I suppose.
Not much room up there if we all were.
By the way, I hear that Mr. Rudkin the grocer has high hopes. Now that would be jolly nice for Mrs. Farmer, wouldn't it?
You don't miss much, do you?
No, not much.
Sorry, I've only just heard.
That's all right, Richard. Well, now, are we all here? Well, as you know, Captain Dornish didn't return from the reconnaissance this morning. Of course, as soon as we hear anything, everybody will be informed immediately. But in the meantime, we have to carry on. Now, I've had words with the squadron commander, and he sent off a message asking for a new flight commander, in case Peter doesn't come back. He also said that we shall need an acting flight commander until everything's sorted out. This happens to be a question of seniority. It just so happens that I'm the most senior pilot. By about 6 days. Consequently, I shall be your acting flight commander. Well, are there any questions? Fine. Then it's business as usual.
I've got some good news for you. I know you've been pining to get back into action. Well, there's a vacancy arisen for a flight commander at Saint-Marie. I shall be sorry to lose my best flying instructor. I can only wish you good luck and say that Saint-Marie are jolly fortunate.
Thank you, sir. I hope the members of Sea Flight agree with your opinion.
See Mr. Gallion anywhere?
No, not yet. Hold on. Sea Flight. One moment, please. Right. I'm sorry, sir, you're calling from where? Ah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, near Calais. And you are?
Alan is the new flight commander.
Your name again, please, sir. No, only I didn't catch it. The line's very... Yes, if you could spell that, sir. Thank you. Captain T. R. E. What? I for idiot. Yes, sir. T. R. I. G. G. E.
Triggers.
Triggers. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Do you know him or something?
I know that! But there are 27 men who are supposed to report... What? Yes, but isn't there a lorry or something? I've tried them. They were the first people I
Damn your
contacted.
27 men. I've got a battalion who haven't eaten for 9 hours and
Just all
probably
right.
won't...
In a moment, sir, in a moment. Yes, I know I could tell them to make their own way, but I also know that at the first opportunity they'd all skip off over France. Yes. Well, if you hear anything, let me know immediately. Yes.
It's pretty obvious my battalion won't be moving today.
Now, you're going to...
We're clearly not going anywhere. We're supposed to be going to Armentières.
Well, there isn't a train until 11:30 in the morning, if you're lucky.
And what do you suggest I do with them until then?
Well, there's a transit camp 4 miles up the road.
I know where
towards-
the blasted transit camp is. That's where we've just come from.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's all I can suggest.
Didn't anybody tell you we were coming?
Yes, but it doesn't mean to say there are any trains. Look, I've had nearly 6,000 men pass through here in the last 24 hours.
Well, I just hope they hold up the water until you can get yourself sorted out.
Next! Captain Trigger's RFC.
That's right.
How many of you are there?
Just one.
Well, that makes a change anyway. Where are you trying to get to?
St. Marie. It's just near Bethune.
I thought your lot flew everywhere.
Not in an aeroplane with the connecting rod in 4 pieces. We don't.
How quickly do you want to get there?
Fast. Why?
Well, there's a train scheduled for 2 p.m. tomorrow, if you've anywhere to stay the night. Otherwise...
Otherwise what?
Well, there's supposed to be a train at 2:20 in the morning, more like 3 o'clock, but that's only goods wagons.
That'll do.
I'll make out your warrant. You can doss down in the waiting room. It's not much light, it's only wooden benches, but at least you won't miss your train.
Okay. Very much. Okay.
You're welcome. Next!
Talk about the long reconnaissance. Thought we'd find ourselves over the Russian front lines.
Yes.
We had 2 minutes petrol left, you know. No more.
Yes, sir, there was a telephone
An
message,
idea
was
on the
there?
flight back. Take a message from the notice board, will you? Oh, may I? Thanks awfully. In future, all observers will record any unusual enemy activity they observe, whether this was included in their final briefing or not. A copy of this report to be kept in the flight office. All pilots and observers will check these reports daily. You see, I'm sure we missed things because we don't know what the last chap saw. And sign it, Charles Galion, Second Lieutenant, Officer Commanding Sea Flight.
Yes, sir. There is one thing, sir.
Uh-huh. Well, what is it?
That telephone message, sir. As from tomorrow, you won't be Officer Commanding Sea Flight.
Evening. Or rather, good morning.
Morning.
Anybody there?
I hope so.
Where are you bound for?
Front. You?
Home.
Leave?
No, I got wounded. I expect I'll spend the rest of the war in the regimental depot, trying to instill the proper spirit of enthusiasm into those too inexperienced to know any better.
Not a blighty one.
Yes. You know, one thing I promised myself when I first saw what it was like was that whatever the statistical evidence, I at least would remain unscathed. I was wrong.
What happened?
I caught a whiz-bang.
No, I mean, how are you wounded?
We'll put it this way. I shall never be a father.
Sorry.
I expect a lot of people in England will find it very funny. But I'd rather have lost a leg or an eye or something.
Yes.
When's your train?
10 minutes ago. That wasn't it. Wrong way.
Right way for me. But not far enough. Anyway, they promised me an ambulance out of here, if they remember. I can't walk much yet. And lying is better than sitting. What's your regiment?
Not a regiment, it's the RFC.
Oh.
What do you know?
Nothing. Just the rest of us wonder whose side you're on.
Me?
We've enough trouble with the Germans without your lot.
What are you talking about?
Look, it's the middle of the night. I'm tired and I'm in pain. Let's shut up and pretend the other one of us isn't here.
Look, I'm very sorry about what's happened to you. Now, I want to know what you mean.
If you insist. For the rest of the army, this war is spent in trenches.
Yes, sir.
For the rest of us, this war isn't an RSO flying over above where the fighting is and then back to a nice safe airfield miles behind the front line.
It's day after day stuck in the same place. And any moment something can happen which means you get killed.
You don't have a monopoly on casualties.
No, but at least we're relevant.
Meaning?
Wars are won on the ground.
You'll be stuck in the same bit of ground for years unless someone finds a way of changing the way this war's being fought.
And you seriously think the RFC can do that?
I don't know what the RFC can do. Nobody does yet. But I do know, at least it gives the generals a chance to try something new. They need never again be taken by surprise. Overrun by an enemy they didn't know was there.
Generals don't get overrun. They're too far back, like your airfields. It's the rest of us who get overrun.
Air power's already saved France.
Rubbish.
It was an aeroplane that reported that the German army was wheeling away from Paris last September. Now, because of that, the French army could come out of Paris and attack the German army on the front.
For my particular trench, we don't deal in armies. We deal in companies and platoons and sections. Infantrymen. It was infantrymen saved France, not aeroplanes.
Yes, but the infantrymen wouldn't have known that the flank was exposed.
I'm perfectly well aware that from my trench I can't tell the wider perspectives or the grand design or anything else they care to call it. All I know is that every time an aeroplane comes over us, ours or theirs, it makes no difference, we're going to suffer.
Why?
We survive by trying to be inconspicuous. Those of us who do survive...
You still haven't explained why aeroplanes make you suffer.
We ask only to be left alone. And then buzz, along comes one of your aeroplanes. God only knows what you're supposed to be doing.
Reconnaissance, mostly.
And what do you learn from all this reconnoitering?
Dumps are troop positions, artillery positions, it could be anything.
I suppose it's of academic interest to somebody to find out what the Huns are doing miles behind their lines. But for those of us who do the actual fighting, we're only interested in our own local parochial Huns.
No, you don't understand. The point is...
The point is we know that already! We send out patrols and men get killed. And I could always tell you about the Huns I was interested in. The ones I've got facing me. I haven't heard of aeroplanes providing that information. Or do you now have aeroplanes that can capture prisoners and interrogate them?
It's not like that, and you know it.
No. No, I admit none of us mind you buzzing around behind the Hun lines. It's when you start buzzing around ours that we object.
That's part of reconnaissance too.
Really? Why?
I would have thought that was fairly obvious. It's not much use knowing where your enemy is if you don't know where your own troops are as well.
But we do know where we are. I know where my unit is, and who's on my left and who's on my right. And I make sure battalion knows, and they tell brigade, and presumably somebody tells division.
That's all a damn long chain. At any point it can get broken. Anyway, our information isn't for brigades, battalions, it's for Army HQ.
I don't give a canary's ring if Army HQ knows where we are or not.
They need to know.
They should know anyway. We're not going anywhere. If they can't keep track of a basically static situation, Army HQ ought to give up trying to run the war and take up a milk round.
Ah, you are here. Next train in should be yours.
You're still on duty.
Yes, till someone turns up to take over.
No news of my ambulance yet, I suppose?
Not yet. I'll try again.
I can see from your point of view that the Flying Corps isn't, well, to use your own word, relevant.
If you want to talk about something else.
No. Look, in a way, I agree. I don't think anybody's yet learned how to use the air, but not yet. In future, air power will win wars.
For which side? Those who have it or those who...
I don't know why the hell you're so damned embittered.
All right, I'll tell you. We dig trenches as deep as we can. Because we know we're going to be shelled, we build dummy positions and saps and second lines of trenches, so that some of the time at least the Huns will be shelling trenches we don't happen to be sitting in. At least not many of us.
I don't see what that's got to do with the Flying Corps.
Because we get orders from this damned HQ you seem to think is so important. We have to put out markings, send up flares, so that you can tell them where we are. Exactly where we are.
Thank you.
Yes. But it isn't just you that can see a flare or whatever. It's the Hun as well. The moment after you've flown back to your nice, safe aerodrome, we start getting caned. Because we've told their artillery where we really are. Every time one of your aeroplanes comes over us, we get killed. Your train. Good luck, anyway.
Thank you.
Who knows? One of these days they may find a use for your lot. And then I'll just have been the result of an unsuccessful, premature experiment. We were east of Bethune. The other side of the town, there's an airfield called Saint something.
Sainte Marie?
Yes, you know it?
Yes.
A week ago, 8 days, we were told there was an aeroplane coming over from Sainte Marie at dawn. So we sent up our flares, as ordered, and all the little Huns with their compasses and rangefinders lined up on our flares. And if they didn't get it right first time, it didn't matter. They only had to wait 5 minutes, and then we did it again, and again, and again.
What happened?
Those of us who did as we were ordered, in due course we were shelled to pieces.
You mean some of you didn't?
No. They did the alternative.
What was that?
The usual thing. Open up on the aeroplane with everything they had. To persuade it to go away.
And the aeroplane?
Last I saw of it, it was still heading east. On fire.
It's a small world, isn't it? I'm the replacement for the pilot of that machine.